Welcome to the Black Belt Business Podcast. My name is Matthew Brenner, and today I am with Stephen Reinstein. He is the CEO and founder of Market Muscles. This past July, he reached 1 million leads for his clients, which I think is like super amazing. Like such a crazy number. So, Stephen, thanks for coming on here today.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Appreciate you having me on.
So, how long did it take to get 1 million leads? Like that's just such an insane number. And how did you even track that over the years, like the total number?
Yeah, so it's actually probably more just because, so to kind of like paint the picture, in 2016 is when I started Market Muscles, right? And the whole kind of like idea behind it. So I'm a lifelong martial artist. I started training when I was 2.5 years old. I've got two older brothers that were doing martial arts at the time, so I kind of got thrown into it as well. So I've always been super passionate about the martial arts industry. And I've also been doing websites since I was 13 years old, and we can get into that whole thing here in a bit. But 2016 decided to kind of join together my two passions. And my karate instructor at the time had a really crappy website, and I was like, "Hey, I think I can do it a little bit better for you." So created a website for him, worked out super well. And it was probably after maybe a year and a half, so like 2017 or so, we actually started tracking like all of our websites together, how many leads it was generating. So it was probably more than 1 million. But yeah, we have like one core system where all of the leads from all of the websites that we created kind of feed into. So I can see like really cool aggregate stats from like 800 plus martial arts schools. So it's super cool to see, like these crazy stats essentially. So, over the last 7 years now, we've been crushing it with lead gen.
But I'm sure websites have changed between 2016 and now. So, what's new coming up in 2024 for websites for capturing leads that business owners should know about?
Yeah. So like, I mean, I obviously I'm looking at trends all the time to see what's working, what's not working. And it's pretty funny because like as the years go on, not a lot of things change. Like the basics are really what makes a successful website. It's just like our martial arts, right? We need to have really good basics for the other things to work. And I see a lot of school owners kind of miss out on those basic things, right? And I'm talking about blogging consistently, having a good looking website with great quality photography and videos, and having a really clear call to action, things like that. School owners really miss out. But I think the thing that we're all kind of aware of going into the new year is AI, right? And what AI can do for us, right? And everything from writing content to creating images to now powering chatbots, which is mind-boggling to see that you can have AI like having real-time conversations with prospects as they come in. I think that's some pretty exciting stuff.
Cool. Have you guys started using that yet, or are you just experimenting with that still?
Yeah, so I use it a lot for like content creation. I think it's pretty great at that, especially once you get like the algorithms to start to learn like your tone and the way that you speak and write and stuff like that. The self booking, like having it actually interact with prospects and text message back and forth with the stuff that we're experimenting with right now. Because like we'll look at statistics of how quickly our clients respond back to prospects when they get a new lead. And of course, like we want them to be there right away to message them back. But a lot of times school owners, they're busy, they're either on the mat, they're teaching, or they're dealing with their family or whatever, and they can't get to it right away. And like there's studies, Harvard studies that talk about like the quickness in which you are able to respond to leads has a direct correlation with whether or not you're going to sign them up. So having that like AI piece there to have a natural conversation with a prospect is pretty incredible. So it's cool stuff that we're experimenting with.
So I don't understand this part of it, which is chatbots have been around for a while, right? So how is an
Yes.
AI chatbot any different?
Yeah, I think it's just the quickness in which it learns, right? Because how I remember chatbots, like back in 2017, 2018, it was like pretty granular in terms of like, here's my question, here's an answer, right? You kind of have it like pre-written. Now it's like reading what people are actually saying and providing like good contextual responses based on the way that you've trained it, right? So it's more conversational versus like just a question and answer kind of glorified FAQ piece.
Hmm.
And just to kind of like share this. So, do you use Reddit at all?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I was reading a Reddit post the other day, right? And I was in the relationship advice subreddit, which is a pretty wild subreddit. There's a lot of good stories in there.
Yeah.
But there was this girl, right? And she was engaged to get married. And she was saying that her husband called, or her future husband actually called off the wedding. And the reason why was because she was talking with an AI bot like every day for like 6 months and started having like real organic conversations. Like she started thinking about what she was going to tell the AI bot like throughout her day rather than speaking with her fiance about things because the conversations that were coming back were so organic. She felt like it was listening to her, providing good feedback. And eventually her fiance found like the whole conversation and like it totally, threw him off,
Yeah.
obviously. So it's pretty incredible that, and I think there's like a movie that kind of like does this as well, where a guy kind of forms like a full relationship with an AI bot. But it's crazy. I mean, it's wild that these things are now smart enough to almost resemble like human like responses, where people can have like full on relationships with them. So it's wild
Yeah, it's
stuff.
cool and kind of scary. I mean, honestly, I haven't talked to my girlfriend in like 3 months. I just have ChatGPT talk to her. I'm like, I'm done with this bullshit. So
It's funny.
when you have AI answering these questions, are they answering like just in a chat bot on the website, or are they actually sending text messages back and forth?
Yeah, so it can do text messages as well, which is really wild. And like it's cool because the AI can interact with like other software that you're using. Right? So right now we're kind of experimenting with appointment setting. So for instance, like you're having a conversation, you're figuring out what day and time works for this specific person. And then once a time is agreed on, it's then going into your software and your appointment booking and actually setting that, adding it to your calendar automatically. So it's text message conversations, but then it's actually performing actions once an agreed upon action um, has happened. So it's really robust.
And when you say training the AI, are you training ChatGPT? Like I've heard people say that, but honestly, maybe I'm just a
Yeah.
dummy. I haven't really investigated it. Like, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah. So it's pretty much giving it feedback based on the way that you want it to respond, right? So for instance, with a lot of these like AI models, you can upload whatever content you want to it, right? So it could be like content from your website, FAQs, it could be conversations you've had in the past. So you can actually upload like conversations from your Slack channel if you use Slack for communicating with your employees or whatever. And it actually reads through things so that way it can formulate the way that things need to be responded to like within the right, again, tone, but then also the right answers as well. So it's kind of giving it data so that way it knows what to say and when to say it.
Is this ChatGPT you're doing this on, or another website? Like, am I just like copying and pasting conversations and throwing a ChatGPT and be like, "Hey, read this," and in the future make sure to respond according to my tone? Or how does that work exactly?
Yeah, so it's different websites. So the core like system that powers ChatGPT is OpenAI. So
Yeah,
that's like the API, that's the company that powers it, right? And ChatGPT is just like a software that they built on top of their own API where it makes it super simple to, get things generated. But other people are creating systems that are using the same API, the OpenAI API, and those are a little bit more robust than ChatGPT. Those are the ones that allow you to kind of do the training and things like that. So those are different systems than ChatGPT. But for me, when I'm doing kind of like my simple AI type stuff where I need content written, I'll always tell the ChatGPT bot, I'll be like, hey, you are now a martial arts instructor with 20 years experience within this location, blah, 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 blah. So I kind of like tell it what it should be assuming, like the role it should be assuming. And then I say, now write me a Facebook ad for this thing. Right.
mm,
So you're kind of telling it like what it should be when it's then writing for you.
very cool. And so, besides going on, ChatGPT, what other sites would you recommend? Like, if I'm going to go play around with this later, where would I
Yeah.
go?
So the big one that I see right now is Zappy Chat, Zappy Chat. This is like the one that's kind of looked at as like the best kind of conversational booking
Yeah.
AI out there. So yeah,
So I lost you for a moment. So you're saying Zappy Chat is the
yeah, Zappy Chat, and
okay?
Yeah, so that one's super cool. That's the one that you can kind of train and utilize your own materials, and it'll have the conversations with your prospects.
Does it create images as well, or is that different sites or services?
Yeah, so that's different. So there's a couple different services that do the image creation. So there's something called Midjourney. OpenAI or ChatGPT released their own as well. I think Google Bard has their own. So there's a lot of them coming out now that do image creation, which is super cool to play with. But the results are also kind of wonky. Like, for instance, if you create an image of like a kid training martial arts, look at how many fingers that child has, because they probably have like 6 or 7 fingers on one hand or
Okay.
something like that. So you kind of have to look at like, you know, what's being generated, but it is super cool and there's a lot of use cases for it.
And so it's not that good yet, is what you're saying, or not as accurate as it could be.
Yeah, I think it's going to get a lot better with time. Absolutely. Yeah.
So how long do you think it'll be before everyone's using this on their websites or creating content, and then people just look through it like it's, oh, this is this canned material that's created by ChatGPT or by AI. I just want to speak to someone, right? Because I feel like
Yeah.
people oftentimes have that feeling, right? Get me out of this chatbot. I'm a representative, right? If I call an airline, I'm like 0000 until someone gets on the phone with me, right? So do you think
Yeah.
that'll happen, or do you think this will be so good people won't need that?
You know, it's funny. I actually like really love that idea, right? Because like in a world where technology has really taken over, it's like people start to value those organic connections even more. So I feel like as things kind of progress towards that like AI automation world, people can actually leverage that and start to do organic reach outs, and it'll be way more like impactful than anything before, right? It's almost like direct mail has become kind of cool again, right? Like getting
Yeah.
a letter in the mail is like kind of fun as long as it's not a bill. But if it's like a nice personal letter, then
Yeah.
it's great, right? And I think the same thing is going to happen here. So I think like playing into the AI is super cool now, but then later on, taking a step back and being like, hey, let me do some like cool manual touches with people, I think is going to be really impactful. So it's a cool prospect.
Yeah, I think that's great. We've been doing postcards where you actually write a personal letter to a student forever.
Yeah,
And, people know when they get something canned, right? It's just like
yeah,
a copy and paste or print. Like, I'm sure you don't have an emotional response when you get a happy birthday email from your bank, right? You're like,
right,
oh,
right,
great.
yeah,
Like, it means nothing. But if someone like sends me a video and they're like, hey, happy birthday, Matt. I hope you have a great birthday. I have so much fun doing blah, blah, blah. And something
yep,
specific to me, it's so powerful, right? The
yeah.
problem is people are lazy. Sometimes don't want to do that. So they want the
So
automated
there's,
process.
I mean, the crazy thing is like there's now AI for video, right? So you can record a video and it can then go back and switch out somebody's name in the video, like with your voice and everything, and then like mass produce that video and send it out to people.
Mm.
So it's like really cool stuff. I'll have to follow up with the exact name, but that's also something I've been experimenting with. And I actually got an email from, like I subscribe to like all the different like marketing companies out there, and there's a fitness company, fitness marketing agency that sent me an email, and it's like this girl sitting at a desk and it's like, hey, Steven, I wanted to see if you wanted to chat, blah, 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 blah. And like I saw the URL where the video was hosted. So I went to that and I saw that they just used a service where they were able to upload like a list of names and emails. And it takes the video, adjusts her mouth to make it look like she's actually saying your name, and like picks up her voice and changes the name as well. And then it does like a mass email that seems like it's custom. So it's crazy.
That's amazing. After this, if you can send me like your list of resources, I can put it in the description for people. That way
Cool.
they can play around with it. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So, what about for your personal life for AI? Do you ever use it personally, or has it only been for business, really?
Yeah, personally as well. I mean, I use it for like organizing documents, like going through my bank accounts, like figuring out, different things. Um, Honestly, though, it's mostly for business. One personal way that I use it actually is like having it create a shopping list for me,
Mm,
right? So I'll kind of like give it my specific like dietary restrictions and say like create me a shopping list for Trader Joe's, and it'll send me a shopping list, which is pretty nice.
that's
Um,
amazing. What's your dietary
yeah.
restrictions?
Good question. So I try to stay away from carbs. Then I also have like this little stomach thing where I can't really eat like garlic and onion and stuff like that. So
Like FODMAP
yeah,
situation?
exactly. Yes,
Okay,
you know.
cool. Listen, I've had that issue my entire life. So I mean, I still eat that stuff on occasion if
Yeah.
it's tasty enough, but I know I'm going to pay a
Yeah.
price for it, right? I think the
Yeah.
worst for me is like seeds. So like
Yeah.
sunflower seeds or like lentils. Lentils rock my world for like 3 days. I'm like dead. If I eat lentils. And then my girlfriend doesn't talk to me for 3 months after that. So we go back and forth. Uh, so what do business owners get wrong when they have a website and they think, okay, this website's going to convert. I could do it myself on Wix, right? Or I could do it
Yeah.
myself on whatever other website creation tool they use. What are the things that are most likely to get wrong and that you're going to see and be like, have to put your hands in your face?
Shit. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, I take a lot of time and I do a lot of audits on websites and stuff like that. And like, I think so. I kind of categorize school owners, and hopefully, this doesn't come across offensive, but you have like kind of what I call like the dinosaur school owners, right? They're kind of like the old school. They are like super into the thing that they achieved back in the 1980s, right? That crazy tournament with 6 people in the gym that they won, and now they're world champions
Windows
type of
covered in
thing.
trophies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And like that kind of like mindset goes with their website as well, where they're like really focused on like themselves and what they achieved. And like there's definitely a place on a website for that, because I do think that it's important like to show that, okay, you've got qualifications as an instructor, because like that's one of the things in the martial arts industry is that anybody can open up a martial arts school, right? Like you don't need to have any sort of like certification, anything at all. Just anybody can open up a martial arts school, which is like great, because we're probably not paying stupid fees to the government or something like that. But it's also crappy because then you have like these horrible martial artists that are opening up schools and like just giving us a bad reputation. But yeah, on their website, they're representing these things that they achieved. Again, it's all about them, right? They're just really not focused on the customer and their journey and what they're looking for, and how they can help them with their specific pain points and solving those things. So I see that a lot with people that kind of do their own websites. And yeah, it's just not a great way to get people interested in martial arts.
So tell me if I'm wrong, because obviously you're the website expert. I always feel like the number one most important thing for a website is just it generates leads and sends you that information. Would you say
Yeah.
that's the most important thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Which is like a super like simplified way, because like obviously you have a website, you want it to generate leads. That should be the core purpose. But making it actually do that is what's like super complex, right? That's why we exist, is to make that happen. And it's weird because there's like all these complexities that go into it, and we get asked that question all the time, like what's the secret sauce, right? Like what makes a website convert? And it's a lot of different things put together, right? It's the ability to have a really professional looking website, because most likely somebody's first interaction with your school is going to be your website, right? So if you have a sloppy website that doesn't look good on mobile, that is not a good representation of your school, they're going to assume the same for your actual location.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the colors you choose, the photography you use, the actual layout, the fonts that you're using, the text that you're using, the formatting, like all this stuff is way more important than what people think, because they just think like, ooh, pretty website, right? Does that actually mean anything? And yeah, absolutely it means something, because you're trying to build up the confidence of the people that are browsing your website, so that way they feel like they're going to a professional establishment, right? Not some just hole in the wall type place.
Yeah, one of the things I learned from a branding expert who I had here as a guest previously was that, and we definitely do this poorly, is that the fonts in your website should match the fonts in your school, right?
Yep.
And your emails and the colors should
Yep.
all match from what's in your website. And like we definitely are not good at that.
Yeah.
So when I heard that, I was like, damn it, I have so much I need to improve.
Yeah. I mean, there's association with all those things, right? And you look at any big company, right? You look at Starbucks or like any of these large organizations, like they nail these things, right? And then like branding is so much more than just a logo. I think a lot of people have that misconception. It's everything when it comes to, your colors, your fonts, your what people think about your business, what they smell when they enter your business, like all these different things like make up the branding of your company. So yeah, that's cool that you had an expert on.
Yeah. So people who I feel like I see this question all the time in martial arts groups. I feel like we should have something for this specifically. People always ask, should you have your schedule on the website? What do you
Yeah.
say to that?
So my answer is no. Okay. And that's the method that I recommend. Now, a lot of people will say, like, you know what, like, I don't want tire kickers. I don't want people just filling out their information to see our schedule and then they never respond to me. Or, I want to be transparent, right? And I appreciate that. I appreciate the transparency of putting your schedule on your website, but it actually inhibits so much, right? Because if people are making a call specifically on your schedule on whether or not they should sign up for your martial arts classes, they're doing a super disservice to themselves, okay? Because they're not understanding the true value of martial arts. Okay, so a lot of people, when they're looking at martial arts, they're just thinking kicking, punching, but they don't understand the true life changing aspect of martial arts. And I shared a little bit about me being a martial artist since I was 2.5 years old. And it's the reason why I'm so passionate about what I do is that I look at myself as a product of martial arts. Okay, so growing up, obviously, like everyone has their trials and tribulations. Same thing with me. Definitely didn't have an easy life growing up. I'm a high school dropout. I didn't go to college. Regardless, the tenets that were instilled in me through martial arts still allowed me to pursue, what I was passionate about, to find my path, to become successful, to be able to make an impact on the martial arts industry and, provide jobs for people and all these great things. Right. So, um, totally forgot what we were talking about, but
Yeah, like
regardless.
why someone would have a schedule on their website. Like, yeah, it's
Yes, exactly.
yeah, you're being transparent, but you're also being prohibitive for people to see the value in your business.
Yeah, exactly, right? And I think that having conversations with people is the ultimate goal of your website, right? And if you're able to use this thing that people are looking for, the schedule is kind of that, carrot that people are filling out their information to obtain, then it just allows you to have those conversations with people, right? And even if someone fills out their information and they see the schedule and they don't interact with your business, at least you've captured their information, right? And you can start to nurture them over time and share the benefits of martial arts. And who knows, maybe their son is in baseball season right now, so they can't show up for classes at whatever time they were hoping to, but things change, right? Next season, things will be different. Maybe they're not interested in baseball anymore, but at least you have them on your list and you can then pursue them in the future. So definitely discourage doing that. And yeah, in terms of like our top successful websites, they don't do that. They don't have their schedule unless someone actually opts in and then they can see it.
Cool. So if someone says, "Hey, but I want my schedule to be on the website," and they're firm in that stance, will you just do it for them because that's what they want, even if you discourage it?
Yeah, we will if they're super persistent on it. But of course, we warn them on, you're going to see decrease in leads. You're going to have less conversations. Like, yes, the people that do reach out are like ready to go essentially. But again, you're going to be missing out on a lot of opportunity. And you have to think about it like from a perspective of someone that hasn't done martial arts before, or their child hasn't done martial arts before, which is really difficult for people that have done martial arts their entire life. But martial arts is scary, right? To step on the mat is a really scary thing for a lot of people because from their perspective, kicking, punching, potentially getting hurt, working out when they haven't worked out in a while, like all these things is not an easy thing to commit to. Okay. So if your call to action is sign up for our trial or something like that, and they're not mentally ready to take that step yet, they're not going to fill out their information, regardless of how good of a deal you're offering them, right? Whether it's a free trial, they're saving $300, $1,000, whatever it is, they're not mentally ready to go. They're not going to fill out their information. But filling out their information to get your schedule, that's easy, right? That's a low barrier of entry.
So in that situation, if that's the call to action on the website, like, "Hey, see our schedule here," will you collect the information, just send them an automated email with the actual class schedule in it? Or do you just capture information, call them and tell them the schedule? What does that look like?
Yeah, so typically on the next page, right? If you think of it like a funnel, you've got your opt-in page, then they would go to a page where they can more than likely self-register for a trial, see the schedule, that sort of thing. But you still should be doing the manual reach out as well. You should be calling, you should be texting, you should have automations in place so that way you can talk to them. So if they can't make a specific class or whatever it is, you can have that conversation with them, see if they can move their schedule around, see if you can make things work for them, whatever it might be. But yes, I would definitely encourage because you have to live up to your end of the bargain, right? If you're telling them that they're going to get the schedule if they fill out their information, you don't want to be a liar, right? So you want to make sure that they get that information.
Do you see typically schools or martial arts schools that use lead magnets on their website, or is that not used so much in our industry?
Yeah, not too much anymore. So like you're talking about like, I don't know, like a PDF document that says like 5 reasons to enroll in martial arts or 5 ways
Right.
martial arts is going
Oh,
to help your
yeah,
child
exactly.
or
12 ways to make your child have better discipline in home or something.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think they're good to offer, but I don't really see that as something that is better than a schedule, right? That seems to be the number one thing that people really want to see. It's either schedule or pricing, right? That's like typically the first questions that a martial arts schooler will get about their program. So lead magnets are cool, but I don't think they're as impactful as offering schedule or pricing as the thing that people get if they fill out their information.
So if I'm trying to generate volume, the most amount of leads possible, am I gonna do
Yep.
an offer like, hey, $99 for your first month or free 2 weeks? Or am I going, you think, hey, check out our schedule here, put an information, we'll email it to you.
Yeah, just schedule. Yep. Just make it as easy as possible for them to enter their info. Again, mentally, it's just all they're getting is a schedule. That's all they're signing up for is just to get a PDF document. They're not signing up for potentially coming into classes or that sort of thing. So
Mm.
really low barrier, schedule, pricing, that sort of thing. And yeah, leads will skyrocket from that.
Do you typically want the ability for people to book an appointment online? Like being able to check the schedule and they say, oh, cool, yeah, this is great. How do I book or how do I start? Is that the next step of the funnel? Is booking an appointment?
Yeah, definitely. So I think like all of us, just as technology continues to improve and move forward, like everyone typically likes to do things like self-service, right? Whatever it might be, whether you're scheduling doctor's appointment, dentist appointment, you're
Yeah.
scheduling, whatever it
Checking
is.
out a supermarket.
Exactly. Yeah, people just are, and that's the thing as well. Is like it's not just that people prefer to do that; it's that all these other places or all these other like ways that they're consuming things, they offer this option as well, right? So they're trained to do it. So it's not like you're teaching people how to do self-scheduling. So yeah, I think it's a great thing to do. I think having that as something that's embedded onto the website is great. I still would, do manual follow-ups even when they book their appointment, call them, confirm that, everything is set the expectations for that first class when they come in or that meeting, whatever it might be. I see a lot of our clients, what they'll do is they'll record a video that actually will walk through like, here's where you're going to park. When you walk
Yeah.
in, this is who you're going to see. This is where you're going to put your shoes. This is right. So that way it's like fully transparent. There's no surprises walking in. It's just like puts their nerves at ease. So it's a cool way to do it. But yeah, in terms of the funnel, definitely opt in, show the schedule, self booking, and then on that final page, set the expectations, tell them what they can expect for that first day. And it's a great way to kind of set people up for success.
Yeah. When you mentioned the virtual tour, we have a video like that, and it's nothing fancy. It's a iPhone video. Like, hey, welcome. My name is blah blah blah. I'm going to be your teacher when you come in. We kind of walk them through. But I feel like
Yep.
if I could get a personalized video with that person's name in it through that website you mentioned, that'd be
Yeah.
next level, and that'd
Yep.
be amazing. I would love to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That'd be sick. That'd be really cool.
So after, obviously, there's a lot of manual labor that needs to happen. I think a lot of people don't want to do that. Is want people to book through the website, right?
Yeah.
But that's always going to be a big part of, I think, business, or maybe not always. Maybe at some point, I don't know. Maybe people don't want to do that. Consumer taste changes. I remember like using QR codes like 5 or 6 years ago, and no one gave a crap or no one knew how to use it. And then
Yeah.
COVID happened, and now you're using QR code to like bring up a menu anywhere you go to eat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, cool. QR codes are now people understand it. I don't have to explain it every time. We could just put it on everything. And now everyone understands it, right? You hand them a QR code, they know to take out their camera.
Yeah.
They know exactly what to do. So do you do this market muscles for other industries too, or are you just sticking to martial arts?
Yeah, just martial arts. We do have a handful of fitness businesses that we work with, gymnastics, like any membership based businesses as well. But like martial arts is my passion, right? Like anytime I get to, interact with school owners, any events that I go to, like the Super Show is like totally a place that I love to go to geek out and like just experience the martial arts. And, I love MMA. I love, interacting with the fighters and stuff like that. So it's like, uh, I'm like a kid at a candy store here.
Yeah.
I just like love to show up every day and do what I do. And like, over the past couple of years, like we've gotten plenty of offers for buyouts and things like that. And it's like I don't even entertain them just because I don't know what I would do if I wasn't doing what I'm doing right now.
There
Like I
has to be
just
some
genuinely enjoy
number. There has to be some number you'd entertain.
it.
What number would you entertain?
Probably,
Tell me a
yeah.
number. If you're like, all right, if someone came in and offered me 50 million, I would do it. Or
I'd probably
15
do it for
million.
50 million.
Okay.
Yeah, probably 15 million.
15
Yeah.
million you
But
do, you cash
I
out.
still need to be involved though. Like I'd want a job, that'd be part of it. Like
Yeah, you don't want to sit
I'd
around
want to
and do
be
nothing.
involved. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll talk to my people, see if they can make you some offers. Um, so the next thing I want to talk about for you is like what's the worst part about working in your industry of like a website provider, right? You're making websites for people. What's the worst part about that?
Oh man, that's a good question. Mm. Okay, two things that are like super frustrating to me. Okay, it's one in business. I think uh, most known beats best, right? So like the person that's kind of like going out there and really marketing themselves tends to do better than like the best product out there, right? And that's something that like I've personally struggled with in the past is like really putting myself out there, sharing my knowledge, stuff like that. So when I see like a client of ours potentially leave for a different product that like I personally don't feel like is on the same level or is going to do them, the justice for their school, but it's just because they're louder in that sense. That's really frustrating for me, right? Because I feel like we offer such a great product for them, and maybe I'm just egotistical or something. I don't know exactly, but like that stinks, right? Because obviously I want to continue to serve them. I feel like we put our heart and soul into things and continue to get better. So that's always tough to deal with. And I take, every we work with I don't know 800 plus locations right now, and I still get an email every time someone is leaving because I want to be on top of that, and it'll still ruin my day. Like it sucks when that happens, right? So that's super frustrating. And then the other piece is like, especially around COVID, like seeing school owners that had to shut down their schools given the circumstances. Like that really sucked because like I realized, every entrepreneur is chasing a dream, right? And they're doing what they're doing because they have a love for what they're doing, and seeing that kind of end for them is just really disheartening, So there's a lot of highs and a lot of lows when it comes to being an entrepreneur. Like I love seeing the success of our customers and my employees and all those things. But then when you have to deal with those lows, it's like that's when you start to think about that number,
Mm,
like, what is my number, what I would sell for? But
yeah,
in reality, it's like, it comes with the territory having, both those highs and those lows and the stresses and the things that you get to celebrate and stuff like that. So yeah, for me, those are the two toughest things.
mm. So how long do people usually stick with a website provider? Like maybe not, you can say yourself or maybe someone else, because I feel like it's pretty hard to switch. It's like a giant pain in the
Yeah.
ass. It's kind of like switching a credit card is no big deal, right? Well, not a
Right.
no big deal. It's
Right.
kind of a pain in the ass. But switching your bank account, if I'm gonna have a new
Yeah.
bank, is a giant pain in the ass. So
Yeah.
how long do people typically stay? Do you have long lifetime value for clients?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's typically a couple of years, right? So, oh, am I frozen? Okay, we're good.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
good.
So it's typically a couple of years that clients will stay with us. The big thing for us is like we're always pushing the limits, right? We're always improving. We're always making things better, and like we want to obviously make sure that our clients are staying up to date with the latest and greatest when it comes to technology. So yeah, our clients do tend to be with us for quite a bit of time, which is great. Um, because like you said, switching websites is not the most fun thing to do. There's a lot of work that has to be done for the school owner. It's not as bad as switching a CRM. That's like the toughest thing for a
That
school
is
owner to
the
do. But
worst. I'm doing that right
yeah.
now. We're switching over to a new one for all of our schools, and oh my god, it is a
Yeah.
nightmare, right? But
Yeah, I
if you,
don't envy you.
yeah, but if you run a CRM, and you run a SaaS business,
Yeah.
software as a service, it's the greatest thing ever. You're like,
Right.
it's
Yep.
so freaking sticky, which is why those companies become so valuable
Yeah,
because getting out
absolutely.
of it is so difficult.
Yep. Yep.
So you said usually at least a couple years.
Yeah, yeah, typically. Yeah, I'd have to check our software specifically, but yeah, it's typically a couple of years. I mean, we've got some clients that have been with us since the beginning. Like our first client ever is still with us, which is pretty incredible. And yeah, like we have a set of clients. So when I started the company in 2016, I think it was like April, right? And I built the like our first website, went on Facebook, posted like grand opening, right? Market Muscles is available now. Crickets, of course, right? Nobody was signing up. And then a couple of months had gone by. It was actually May, not April, when I first launched. But the Super Show was coming up in July, right? And at that time, I was pretty involved with the Century Martial Arts Facebook group, which had just kind of gotten started. But I was kind of in there posting, sharing, trying to share some knowledge and stuff like that. But I connected with Leon Rogers, who was the vice president of Century at the time. And he invited us to come out to the Super Show. He said, "Hey, we've got one more booth available, right, to be a sponsor or a vendor at the Super Show. Let me connect you with Kyle Young, who was kind of the contact person at that point, and connected us. And they offered a great opportunity to be a vendor there. Regardless, I still couldn't afford it. So I busted out, I think it was like 3 credit cards and paid for, whatever it was. I think it was like $1,700 to become a vendor. But at this point, we were like 0 clients, right? But we
Right.
really wanted to take this opportunity and get in front of the industry. So fast forward to July. I mean, I'm broker than broke at this point, right? I've spent all of our money just to get there on the tickets and the booth, the backdrop, and everything. We show up to the hotel. They're like, "Hey, we need $300 for incidentals or something like that." And I'm just like, "Well, there goes my food budget for the trip, essentially." So, like, I'm telling you, like, it was tough, but yeah. So Super Show was huge. This is 2016. This is like when they were kind of in their prime there, and we show up, we're walking into the trade show floor to kind of set up and find where our booth was. And like I said, we had the last booth available. And I'm walking up to our booth and I notice that 97 Display is directly next to us. Okay. And that's like one of our number one competitors. And we had a little dinky 10 by 10 booth. They had like this giant 20 by 10 booth with like a really impressive backdrop. And it was super intimidating walking up there and getting things set up. But regardless, we were there, we were set up, which was super cool. And at that event, we signed up like our first 4 clients. Okay, so that was kind of the thing that got things going for us. But it was interesting because we had 2 products at that time. We had the website product, but we also had the Market Muscles TV product. And for those that don't know what that is, it's like a cloud-based TV platform where you can control content that goes like on your lobby TV. So if you want to show like upcoming events or students of the month or things like that. And a lot of the people that are coming to our booth were looking at that and not really the website thing, right? And it didn't help that 97 Display was right next to us as well. But regardless, we signed up our first like 4 website customers at that event. And those 4 people still with us, which is really cool. But that was kind of the thing that got the ball going for us.
So do you still offer that cloud-based service for putting up?
We do. Yeah. So that's kind of like baked into our package now. So we just have one package that includes everything that we offer. But yeah, that's part of it as well. And it's something that a ton of our clients use. So it's a super cool thing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we have a service kind of like that. I would say probably
Yeah.
not nearly as good as yours. It was free. It was called Promoda.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
have you heard of that one?
I have not.
Yeah, it was just like an app, and it would you go through. It was free, and it would go through Google. What's the little thing you plug into a TV? So it's like a smart TV. I don't know if they even still make Google Chrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go through Google Chrome, and it was great, and for probably 3 years. And then one day, everything turned to Chinese, and it just
Oh.
disappeared from the from the store. Literally everything turned Chinese. I couldn't even like click on any buttons. I'm like, I don't know what to
Oh
do.
man.
And it disappeared from the store, from the app store, and it was gone. So now we're actually looking for a replacement for that. So you and I can talk about that afterwards. That'd be kind of cool.
Sounds good.
And yeah, now the TV just turned off because I don't get much Chinese up there. So now that you have this website business, you've been doing it for a while, and you've obviously grown. You decided at some point, I think, to open like a headquarters, like where you are right now. Is that
Yeah.
have that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Why
I'll
not
let my
just do
video.
everything remote? Why not? Why have a headquarters? And where's your headquarters at?
Yeah, so we're in Norfolk, Virginia. And
Okay.
so I originally grew up in New York. I moved down to Virginia when I was 17. And I was in Fredericksburg, Virginia for a little while, and then eventually moved to the Virginia Beach area. So that's where I live now. But, our headquarters, so we've got a partially remote team and then a partially in-person team, right? I feel like there's certain positions where it makes sense to kind of look remote. A lot of our developers are located in the US, but kind of varied around. But then our team inside the office is like our customer support team, our project managers, things like that. And I have to say, like, like this whole team in the office, like, genuinely enjoys coming in every day and spending time with each other. We have a lot of fun. We work hard, we play hard. And like, I'll have to give a tour of our office sometime, but we have our own dojo in here. We've got a cool setup for playing video games and things like that. And yeah, I mean, it's just really great to have like this environment where we can all kind of collaborate and work together. And it's just a super fun place to be. But yeah, we do kind of work remotely or with a portion of our team and then in person with the other portion.
At what point in your business do you decide, okay, I need to have like a headquarters or a building to actually pay for to host all these people?
Yeah, so for a while we were in a co-working space, and we had just a small office where there's a couple of us crammed in there. But like, initially when I started, it was just me, right? And as the years went on, I brought on one person, and I brought on a second person, and then all of a sudden, 2023 now, I've got 20 something employees, which is super cool. And that also comes with its own set of challenges, of course. But like as the team continued to grow, our space had to grow as well, right? So we were in a co-working spot originally where there was like 4 or 5 of us, and we were all kind of working closely together. And as our team continued to grow, our needs for space grew as well. So we moved from one co-working place to another that had a larger space for us. That place was horrible. There was tons of issues there regarding like bathrooms always breaking. There was black mold growing on the ceiling and like all sorts of like craziness at that office. So eventually we're like, okay, we need our own space that we can have control over. If something goes wrong, we can take care of it ourselves. So that's what we did.
Cool. So did you buy this building? You just leased out a big office space.
Um, so we leased it. We are on the second floor of a standalone building. We've got close to 6,000 square feet here, which is great. But we're here for 3 years, and then we'll see if we want to move forward. But I'd love to eventually own some commercial property in the city. It's a place that I genuinely enjoy.
Yeah, very cool. Well, when you get to that point, if you need help, or just want to run some things, by us or my brother, happy to do that. Obviously, we've him mainly, but I've delved into like going through the process of purchasing commercial properties. At least I can share with you some pitfalls, a couple of them that I know people fall into and we've fallen into in the past. So you don't fall into that same situation. But if you can,
Yeah,
I think it's amazing. I don't know what the real estate market is like in Norfolk, if it's how competitive it is or how difficult it is. Some of our schools will purchase the building if we can, but some of them, like depending on the area, it's just impossible. Like, there's just like nothing for sale or the prices are
gotcha,
outrageous. So we'll have to
gotcha.
lease. But whenever we can buy, we usually do that. So do you still train
Nice.
yourself?
Yeah, yeah. So I love training. Like that's like I said, it's my passion. I go to Okinawa twice a year typically for training as well. So I try to keep up as much as possible.
What styles?
Um, I do Shorin Ryu karate.
Cool.
So yeah, very traditional Okinawan based karate. And it's the same karate that I've done my entire life. My instructor when I was 2.5 years old is still my instructor now. He lives in New York though. But we still on those trips to Okinawa, we go together and we do our training there, which is really cool. But yeah, like I said, built a dojo here in the office. I've got some employees that also do karate in the same style. So it'll be lunchtime. We'll hop into the dojo real quick, take our shoes off, and run some stuff, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, it's great. I mean, I love training. It's something that I'll do my entire life for
Have you
sure.
ever thought about trying a new style?
I've dabbled in judo and Brazilian jiu-jitsu because I've had some friends that did that. I actually, when I lived in Fredericksburg, before I started Market Muscles, I was doing contract web design work, and I linked up with this guy who did, I think it was loans for churches. I'm pretty sure is what he did. But regardless, I was doing some contract web design work for him. And he's like, hey, man, why don't you come work out at our office? So I went into the office, set up my laptop, and he's like, let me show you something. And they actually took two of their offices, knocked down a wall in between them, and threw mats down. He was a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So at lunchtime, I would jump in a gi, train with them. They had built a shower in the office as well, which is super cool. So for a little while there, I was training in some Jiu Jitsu, but I haven't done it in quite a few years. But
Okay. So you didn't love it like you
yeah,
love karate.
no. I mean, it's super cool, but like super challenging as well. Like
Yeah.
I remember like even my first day or like first week of judo, like the sensei there was all about like falling, right? And I've done break falls like forever, right? Tucking your chin and slapping the mat and all that stuff. But he was like, we got to make sure that you know how to fall properly before we like really get you into throws. So I swear it was like 40 times in a row. He's just like, bam, 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 throwing me over and over and over again. So I'm like, okay, this is like, it's great, it's fun, but it's like it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Or maybe just not for you, which is cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I ended up I've been doing karate my whole life. Started with Kempo.
Yeah.
And the reason I got started in jujitsu was because I was at a martial arts store and I was checking out and I was buying like, 70 swords or something, right? Like practice
Uh-huh.
swords for kids. And some guy came up to me and he's like, dude, why are you buying so many swords? And I was like, oh, we have like a sword seminar. And this is like, they were like foam. And like, this is the way we'll practice because they'll do strikes on each other. And he's like, oh, man, that's cool. Have you ever done like jujitsu? And I was like, no, not really. He's like, I run a jujitsu school. Like, why don't you come like take a class? And I was like, huh, maybe that would be fun. I haven't done a new style in a while. And I've taken workshops of like Krav Maga here and there and like,
Yeah.
done small things, but never like consistently. And then I started going to class, and I thought I was going to be hot shit. I'm like, dude, I'm a karate black belt. I'll be good at this. Or at least I'll pick it up faster than everyone else. And that was not the case, even a tiny bit. I was just as a beginner as everyone else.
Yep.
Didn't tell anyone I was a karate black belt, so I don't think I'm going to be good, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, now that's mainly what I do most of my training because it's new and exciting. But I'll tell you what, like,
Okay.
it is hard on the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hard on the body. Like, I'm not sure how good it is for you long term. As in fact, I'd probably say it's probably not that great for you long term. Like, because you're getting your neck crunched and
Yeah.
your shoulder pulled, and like probably good for flexibility at some points. But I think most of the time when I see someone who's been doing it for a really long time, they always look messed up. Like they got their fingers,
Yeah.
taped together, and their toes are all going weird directions, and they can't look when they're like doing turn signals in the car. Like, their neck doesn't work. They look like Frankenstein. So
Yeah.
I feel like even lately I'm 32, so I'm still young. But even when I train now, like I don't train super hard. Like sometimes, but most of the time not.
Yeah.
And I try to like pretend I'm just a little kid having fun and not get too competitive, because if we get too
Yeah.
competitive, then you just like, there's been times where someone grabs my ankle and like yanks on it and I can barely walk for 3 weeks. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I freaking hate that.
Yeah.
Right. I need longevity. Unless I was competing for, I was going to be in competitions, and that's different, but I'm not. So I'm only there to have fun, learn martial arts, and, get a good sweat in.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but people don't consider the downside. Like, how's that going to affect you? And then
Yeah.
2 decades
Yeah.
from now. So I'm going to ask you a couple personal questions just to get to know
Cool.
you a little bit better. What's something people don't know about you?
My favorite music genre is like 90s R&B.
Okay, we talking like, is Ja Rule 90s or is he 2000s?
I think he's like 2000s, but
Okay, give me some 90s artists.
like New Edition,
Okay,
uh Luther Vandross. He might be a little
cool.
bit before 90s. TLC, early Usher, stuff like that.
Do you pump that in the office? Like, hey guys, we're listening to 90s R&B all week, and then we're going to practice karate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Force
Great
that.
work
Yeah.
environment. I love your work culture.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What does life work balance mean to you?
Oh, that's a tough one because I genuinely love working, right? So it's like when I'm not working, I feel like I want to work just because I love to work, right? But I think based on like where I am in my life, like I don't have kids, I have a girlfriend, so like for me, it's just like spending time with her. But then outside of that, it's like I can kind of do what I want, right? So I just kind of do what I love to do, right? And that's the important thing. Like if I'm getting up every day and I'm excited to get up and just live my life, then I'm happy, right? So um yeah, I don't know. That's that's my
Yeah, I
answer.
mean, I think that's important. Also, your priorities might change if you decide to have kids or get
Yeah.
married or
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
absolutely.
like anytime I'm not married either, don't have kids. I plan to do both those things, but like I'm always very clear with anyone I date for any significant amount of time, which is, hey, like work is super important to me, and I need
Yeah.
you to be supportive of that, and not say, oh, like why are you working so late, or hey, like don't do that. Just hang out with me. Like that'll be a giant turnoff, and I'll immediately grow cold, and it will not be good for our relationship. I want you to be like cheerleading me along the way, right?
Sure.
And be like,
Yeah.
good job, keep doing that. Like, how can I help? I think
Yep.
that's so important to set those expectations.
Yeah.
Uh, Tell me about a time where maybe you almost quit doing the website business, or God, this is dumb. I'm gonna do something else, or oh, it's not working, or has there been a time where you almost quit?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I would almost quit, but it was like I definitely questioned things, right? And I remember specifically we were having a really difficult time with a specific server hosting company that we were dealing with, right? And when you have, like I said, like 800 websites and you're kind of responsible for them being up because it is the lifeblood for a lot of martial arts schools in terms of getting new students, there's a lot of pressure there, right? To make sure that things are up and running. And we were just having a really difficult time with a specific hosting company where all of our websites were down. And you can just imagine the pressure that we were under with
My
all those,
God.
customers coming to us and like whatever we were doing, it just wasn't working. So I had to migrate everybody off of that one specific server onto a new one, which in itself is not a huge task, but so domains, they have to point to a specific server. So that way, when someone types in your domain, it goes and looks at that server to find your website. Well, when you're moving from one server to the other, the IP address changes. So I had to log into everybody's domain individually to make that change to point to that new server. But we didn't have everybody's account login information on hand, right? Because people change their passwords or whatever. So we were manually contacting 800 people to get their login information to do this change. And like, it was just such a pain in the ass and just a lot of pressure. And yeah, I don't, I almost blocked that out of my memory, to be honest, until you brought this up.
Okay, good. I'm happy to unearth some nightmares.
Thanks.
So when that happened, how long does it take to change all those people? Is this like a week process?
Yeah, I mean, it was like many all-nighters to like get it done,
Oh my
and
God.
then multiple reach outs and like people don't remember their password to these types of things, right? So
Yeah,
it was
for
tough
sure.
to get the information. So yeah, it was hard.
Okay, next one. Tell me the book or podcast, but I'll just stick with book now. Tell me a book that has shaped your career or your business or has made the biggest impact on you personally.
Yeah, probably E-Myth.
E-Myth.
Um, yeah, I know it's like a classic, right? It's like one of those ones that you read, when you're starting a business, but like um, as an entrepreneur, like one of the biggest things that I struggled with was like letting go of certain tasks, right? And understanding that there's people out there that can do it better than me, right? Even though like this is my baby, I feel like I can do it the best. But like now that I'm in the position that I am with, the amount of employees that I have, like I want to surround myself with people that are smarter than me. Like all of my employees, I want them to be better than what I'm capable of doing at certain things. Okay, so like all my time is invested in that, like training them and getting them into that position. But I know that my business can't grow unless I have these processes in place and these people in place to execute those processes.
Mm,
Right. So I think that has, a huge impact on my business and something that I'll revisit like pretty often.
that's great. That's actually a pretty popular one. I've heard that one. People say that one a lot. The E-Myth. And
Yeah.
I've read that. I mean, it's a classic, right?
Yeah. Yep.
What's a tool you use in your business that you think everyone needs to know about?
So Slack is a big one for communication with our team. So if you don't have a tool in place for communication with your staff members, Slack is a great place because it keeps logs of all conversations that happen, which is really important. So that one I use a ton. I mean, I use the basics a lot. I use Google Sheets. I'm in spreadsheets a lot. I use HubSpot for our like lead nurturing and stuff like that. That's probably not made for everybody, but as a agency or marketing agency or software company, it's a great tool to have in place.
All right. So next one. What's one idea that you think the majority of people get wrong about you?
Okay, so I think what people don't really know about me is like I've kind of got two sides to me, right? I've got like the professional side. I've got a super goofy side as well. That like with when I'm hanging out with my friends and like I'm playing video games and stuff like that comes out, and it kind of takes me a little while to like warm up to people and kind of let that side out, but uh, it tends to be something that people really kind of like enjoy. Like I'm a super sarcastic person. That's just the way that I grew up. My dad's the same way. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Not a lot of people get to get that interaction with me unless they spend a good amount of time with me, I guess. Um, so yeah, I kind of that's one of the reasons why I like look forward to the events in person because it's that's an opportunity to really kind of share more of myself with people. So yeah, it's a lot of
What
fun.
which video game you playing? What's your game?
Right now it's Valorant. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's like a shooter game essentially.
Like a first person shooter?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Kind of like
Okay.
Call of Duty, but a little bit different.
Okay. Better than Call of Duty?
I'd check it out if I were you.
Okay. Are you like a PC gamer, Xbox, PlayStation?
Yeah, PC gamer. Yeah, I've done it since I was a kid.
So you're just on
Little
computer all day, every day.
Yeah, yeah. I've been doing it since I was a kid. Kind of an unknown fact. I actually used to play a game called Counter Strike I'd say professionally. I used to travel around the United States on a team and play at tournaments and play for money and stuff like that. So
That's
yeah,
wild. That's wild. Wow,
yeah.
you could have had a career playing Counter Strike instead. You make websites. What a mistake. Oh my god. Uh, what's the uh, what is the most embarrassing moment of your life so far?
I can tell you the moment that I think about the most, and it's from when
Yeah,
I was a kid. Okay,
yeah,
and this is gonna sound dumb as hell, but I guess
yeah.
I mean we're
Doesn't
we're there
matter.
now, right? So,
Yeah.
one of my first jobs was working at McDonald's. Okay,
Okay.
and I think I was 14 when I first got my job at McDonald's, and shift was over. And at the end of the shift, depending on how many hours that you worked, you were able to like get a meal essentially. So I'm like sitting down, and I personally didn't work enough hours to get a meal, but this girl that I was sitting down with, again, I was 14 years old. She was probably 14 also. She did work enough hours to get a meal. So I was sitting down, she's eating, I'm not. I'm starving though. And she gets like halfway done with her meal, and her parents are there to pick her up. So she like pushes the tray to me and she's like, "Hey, can you like throw this out for me? I got to run out to the car." I was like, "Yeah, I'll throw it out for you." So I wait for her to leave and I start eating like the leftovers essentially.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she like comes back into the restaurant to, grab something that she forgot, and she sees me like eating her leftovers essentially.
Oh my
And
god.
I'm like, "Fuck. All right, I'm that guy now, I guess." Like that's me.
That's devastating for a 14-year-old.
It was tough. It was at 34 years old. I still think about it now. So what can I say?
I'm not leaving any leftovers around you. I know you're gonna eat that shit. Directly in the trash. The my sister always tells a story. So I have a lot of siblings. I have 8 siblings. So there's
Oh,
nine of us.
okay.
And my mom bought for her a pair of pants at like a flea market, like a pair of jeans or something, right? That's like
Yep.
honestly where all of our clothes came from. And she was at school, and some kid, remember she's like a teenager, some kid was like, "Hey, those are my pants." And so she ran into the girl whose pants have previously. Well, imagine being a female teenager and you run into someone who's like, that was their old pants that they didn't want, and they sold to your mom for like 50 cents or something.
Yeah.
And she still talks about being the most embarrassing moment of her life. It just reminded me of that story. That's why I brought it up. You see, I don't share any of my own embarrassing stories. Uh, now I'm happy to. I've probably done. I've shared a bunch. All right, so we're wrapping up here, but one more. Complete this answer. I feel most alive when.
When I'm building, when I'm coming up with new ideas, when I am just kind of in that flow state where something that like I've been dreaming of is like coming to fruition. But like that's what I love doing is coming up with new solutions, technology, those sorts of things. Like that's truly where my passion is, and that's definitely when I feel like I'm serving my purpose and like actually living.
Mm, very cool. Thank you so much for being on here. Uh, if someone wants to reach out to you and find out more information, maybe they're interested in market muscles or they have a question about something you said, how do they find you?
Yeah, shoot me a message on Facebook. I'm super accessible there. Just Steven Reinstein on Facebook. Or shoot me an email. It's just Steven at marketmuscles.com. But yeah, add me on Facebook. Let's chat. I'm happy to do so.
Cool. Well, thank you for listening. My name is Matthew Brenner. If you have any questions, you can check out my Instagram, send me a DM at blackbeltbrenner1, or you can send me an email, matthew@doubleyourdojo.com. Thank you very much, Steven. It's been great talking to you. It's been really fun.
Appreciate it.